Okay. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of whatever the hell this is. Uh, um, I found myself with particular free time this afternoon, so I thought we would revisit. Revisit my particular failure from last time, where I spent, I think it was 15 minutes talking about pretentiousness, both mine and the world's, and I'm drawing one of these study in space things, and then having completely forgotten to turn on the stream. So, as promised, here it is again. Thank you very much for bearing with me. Today we will do something. I have no idea what it is actually. In fact, I think we might want to continue with this particular perspective, sort of build upon it, if you understand what I mean. I had a commentator say that this was a better representation of what FTL might look like as compared to my FTL one. And I actually do agree with that. But I think I want to actually take this in a slightly different direction, which might actually require more, I don't want to say effort, more learning, more learning than I am perhaps capable of in this particular moment. Yeah, so the idea was to actually turn the background into a nice modern city and show a swath essentially being cut through it. But I think that's beyond my abilities right now. We'll practice and we'll get there sooner rather than later. But what do I want to do with this today? I think there's a case to be made for improving this by, this was originally supposed to be golden, but now it's kind of under the yellow lights. When I was doing this in the evening, it did appear golden. But oh yeah, I do want to thank all of you bros for like literally all of you are here. What are you doing? I know half of you are at work and so you can listen to this, but don't the rest of you have like lives? No, you're right. How dare I assume that you have lives? That's completely terrible of me. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so something particularly that might be interesting actually is this. If you note that as this crosses, it looks kind of interesting, and I think that's what we're gonna do today. Actually, we're going to add essentially we'll correct that later. We're gonna add essentially what amounts to be a don't worry about my voice being too close to the microphone. It's no big deal. We're going to add what amounts to be a filter underneath. We're going to make that completely white, and notice how that's gone, but we don't want it to be completely gone. We'll set the opacity to like 75, I think. It's not opacity, is it? That sounds pretty weird. Don't tell me it's opacity. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from you in particular, since you can't even speak English properly on the normal days. Okay, so essentially by doing this, what we are doing is we are turning what amounted to be a beforehand it looked like maybe a road, or not a road, but like a flight path or a guidance or something. But now we are we should have more. Wait, should have more, shouldn't we? Yeah. So the more we have it, say for example, let's do a nice 85%. The more we have it, the more instead of a path, now it looks like a walkway. In fact, That is an excellent idea, even though you're not the one to have given me this idea. Your idea was crap, but it led to my idea, which is actually kind of good. So we're good. I'm sorry for those viewers who are perhaps not used to me speaking like this. It is, shall we say, a holdover from a darker and more disturbing time in my life. Can I copy this? I want to copy this. No, that's not it. I want to copy this gradient. Nah, we'll just. What even is this? Hold on, let me look this up. Oh, correct. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. So right click the object we want, create style. And then what? Apply the style. How do I apply a style? No, that's textiles. You know what? No, that's okay. We weren't going to make it a firm thing to begin with. So let's say this area is, oh, well, that's not okay either. Can I not? I don't want to do that particular reverse. Position opacity, radial, conical. What the hell is that even? Yeah, no, that's not it. Elliptical. No. Huh. Well, no, I'm definitely not gonna go with this kind of gradient. I want it to be linear from bottom to top, but it seems like we'll have to do it a different way. So, for example, if I did it this way by turning it exactly 90 degrees. Oops. Oops daisy. You don't get a stroke. I don't know why you find that very funny, but actually no, I know why you find it very funny and very mature. Thank you very much. And we're just gonna bring that down here. And I know this is anal tough to do this by scrolling in so hard, but screw you. It's the engineer talking. And that's actually on a separate note. That's why I really like drawing in vector, because vector is such a nice way to make sure that you are doing what you think you're doing. Whereas like so like once you export it and it gets converted into pixels, you've done the maximum that you possibly could yourself, and so therefore you are essentially covered. I don't know if that makes sense. No, I know it doesn't make sense to you. I'm very well aware of that, and if I'm completely honest, I'm okay with that. Uh, this side we can have opacity set to like, no, not 100. What? That's weird, right? That's weird, right? Because that suggests some form of yuckiness is going on there. Let's bring this sort of down a little bit. I'm okay with this. This looks good. I hope this was I hope this was to your liking. My anonymous sponsor. Yeah, I'm no. Not yet. Not yet. No. Let's. Yeah, that makes it better, doesn't it? But why is a lower opacity giving me greater? That's weird, right? Oh well, blue, green. I don't get that. Cause this is supposed to be oh, this is going to this gray with an opacity of 65. This is but why is the lower giving me? No, that is right. Yeah, lower is giving me more white because the lower we are, the so we should not start at that. We should start at 60. And this midpoint we should be at like 55. And at this point we should be at like why the hell not, eh? 33. And at this midpoint we should be at like there is no midpoint, right? We are actually dealing with the endpoint. Okay. So at that endpoint we're dealing. But why is it going to gray? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Unless we there we go. Bring that over there, and there's too big of a gradient over here, so maybe this should be set to 55. What do we think? I'm not asking you, no. Nor am I. Nor am I. For reference, one of my friends in this Discord channel is a I don't want to call him an artist because he actually makes money off of his work. So he's a soulless sellout. You might make money, but you still don't make as much as I do. So I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Anyway, the point is, he claims that this is pure rubbish. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm good with this. But since we're only at 13 minutes, I thought we would do something else today as well, which is why I've written it on there. We shall continue this in NewCity, and we shall continue our city from last time, which is this kind of crummy little thing in the middle of nowhere, USA. And oh my god, is that actually what happened? Yeah, I remember this game being a little weird. Okay, so yeah, we shall just continue this, and hopefully things don't screw with us quite as much. I really can't understand ortho, because look at this. This is, these angles are just no, we're gonna go back to like 30, maybe, yeah, 35 degrees. Yeah, that looks better, right? That's like, as humans, this is actually interesting because as humans we tend to base our observations on things that we actually know about in person, right? Like the things that we have experienced in person. And so for things like that, or blah, 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 the perspective in that particular case, it is weird, and it feels unnatural, even though it should be correct for that exact reason, because this is realistic enough that as we as we hover in the air and we look down, we expect to see what we expect to see, which is specifically the ground sort of getting smaller as we go further away, and because that's just what we're used to. If we stand on a mountain, we don't have exact perfect angles regardless of our field of view, right? And so it's interesting to me that that there exists, and there exists this need for something like that. And I mean, there is a need for something like that, where the angles remain exactly the same, specifically for just modern designing, right? Like a lot of software depends, or not software, but rather a lot of very accurate design work depends on us simply knowing where and when and how certain angles will go. And if we go back in time a little bit, it's the same sort of idea with map projections. I do not know them off the top of my head. I think it's the Mercator projection, which has the angles at exactly the inflates the sides, blah 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 blah. I think it's the it's the Mercator projection, because any course of constant bearing is a straight line on the Mercator projection. But that means, because our Earth is unfortunately a sphere, that means that as we as we get closer to the poles, that it has to distort the map greatly, right? And that's why the Mercator projection, in it, we'll see Greenland being much bigger than Australia, because Greenland is so much closer to the poles, and we have to spread the poles out so much more to have that that constant bearing, or that constant bearing being a straight line. Because otherwise, if you're essentially, that's what that means is, say I'm going from London to Dubai. If I go in a straight line on the Mercator projection, I can draw it as a straight line, and if I want to see what angle that would make when it meets a different flight that goes, say, from Moscow to, let's say, Madrid, I can just use a compass to measure that. 100%, I can just use a compass to measure that. And so and you can't do that, or I mean, technically you could, but it makes it very easy to, what is this? It makes it very easy to plan things, because you can measure these types of angles and bearings, etc. And you can measure that just via straight lines, right? Like, obviously, if you have to draw the curve, first of all, what is that curve, right? If you draw a straight line on any other projection, you're not going on a constant bearing, and so that makes it much more difficult to plan where you're going. Give me 1 second. Oh, hello. Excuse me. I thought I had nothing to do this afternoon. On an unrelated note, I lied. I'm sorry. Oh, but we're at 19 minutes anyway, so we're good. Thank you very much for watching today. We didn't end up doing anything with the city, which, that's fine. These cities are never about, urban planning isn't about what you do in a day, after all, right? It's about what happens to a city over a period of many, many years. And we can already see that our demand for residential is strong, because we have a lot of farmland that's going that needs a lot of employment. So once we have that going, we'll get the school going, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today. In conclusion, download Firefox, don't use Chrome. Cool kids don't do Chrome. And we'll see you next time. Good day. I was about to say good night, but it's still bright out, so good day. Oh, come on, end. Yeah, there we go.